begin with, let's begin with the Dmin itself. I think what's most important that you understand what the Dmin is. And of course, that's not to insult your intelligence, but that's just to make sure that we're all in the same sheet of music. The Dmin is a terminal degree in the practice of ministry. It's important that you hear that you understand that's going to be the primary focus, the practice of ministry. Again, the Dmin is a terminal degree in the practice of ministry. This particular degree is designed ideally for those who are interested in further developing competency in a particular area in the practice of ministry. I want to continue to reiterate that because sometimes students come and do not understand that this is not a research degree. This is not a degree to prepare you for an academic career. One of the things that we like to say sort of tongue-in-cheek, just so you'll know, that the Dmin is for pastors. The PhD is for professors. So of course, and I guess I should say pastors and leaders. So of course, if you're interested in serving the Christian community, then of course the Dmin is the track for you. The focus of the Dmin program is to equip you in being a better pastor, a better leader in a particular context. Now the reason that's so important is one of the things that we assume that when you come into this program, you have a context in which you are already working. It is going to be project-based. That is to say, in the course of the program, as we sort of talk through what your focus is, what your research agenda is going to be, where you're looking to implement that project, it is going to be necessary that you're already engaged in a particular context. And the context, and when I say context, I just don't want you to hear church, because we've had some interesting programs in a variety of different contexts, and so we'll be able to kind of talk with you specifically in terms of what your particular context looks like. The focus of the Dmin at MTS is consistent with our mission. Now, for those of you who've completed a master's degree at MTS, I'll assume that you're familiar with our mission, but for those who may have not, at MTS, here's our focus. We are committed to educating and sustaining men and women for ordained and lay Christian ministry in the church and in the world through shaping and inspiring lives, here it is, devoted to scholarship, piety, and justice. Throughout the course of all of our programs here at MTS, our master's program as well as our doctoral program, those are going to be the hallmarks: scholarship, piety, and justice. That makes us who we are here at MTS. Now, we're not oblivious to the fact that there are other programs out there. And of course, I assume that you probably looked at some other programs. So what I want to do now is I want to help you sort of discern why I believe that you should give MTS some real consideration. I think one of the primary differences between our program and maybe some other programs that you may have looked at is we're excited that here at MTS we found what I want to refer to as a healthy balance between theory and practice. That is to say, we don't want to make light of all of the good work that has been done, all of the theoretical work, the research, and so forth. But if you're like me, here's my confession. When I was a student here at MTS, when I was in the master's program, I didn't care what the class was. If it was church history, if it was Bible, whatever, if it was Christian education, whatever it was, I was a student who sat in the class, and I always raised the same question. If not aloud, at least in my mind. But how can I preach this? Because I was always interested in how can I use this specifically in the practice of ministry. I hear what the researcher says, but does this work in the local church where I serve? One of the wonderful things about the Dmin is the overwhelming focus is going to be on the practice of ministry. And we've been intentional about making sure that we strike a healthy balance. Our expectation is certainly that you're going to be familiar with the larger body of work that's out there. However, once we move beyond that, our focus then becomes how do you use that in your particular context that you'll be able to use to develop a project that will focus on the area in which you are serving. Now, another commitment that we've made, our commitment is to introduce you to and have you to study with some of the most respected practitioners in your chosen field of study. That is to say, your primary instructors will be practitioners. These will not be individuals who read something in a book and then they come back and share with you what they've read in the book. These will be persons who have their hands and feet on the ground. They're actually doing the work on an everyday basis so that they'll be able to share with you, here's what the instructor says in the book, but here has been my experience in the real world of ministry. We're excited about that. If the Dmin is a degree for practitioners, then it just makes good sense that you're being instructed by practitioners, those who do the work. The other thing, Our program here at MTS offers the kind of flexibility where you're able to shape the program to meet your particular ministry goals as well as being sensitive to your particular ministry context. Since it is project driven, you will be able to bring your particular context into, for lack of a better term, the classroom. So you'll be able to design a project that speaks specifically to your context. Now, one of the things that we're hoping is while the project was designed specifically for your context, we hope that your program will be able to be replicated in other contexts that may be similar to yours, so that you will be able to contribute to the overall body of work in your particular area. Another difference between our program and other programs in other places, which I think makes our program great, is that this program is led by practitioners. Matter of fact, I serve as the director of this program. I'm a practitioner. I serve the church. I love the church. I keep one foot in the sanctuary and another foot in the seminary. I contend one informs the other. And in fact, if something were to ever happen where I could not do both, it wouldn't be a hard decision for me to make. Bye-bye seminary. Because I enjoy the practice of ministry. I introduced Dr. Anderson earlier as a person who, as a member of our Dmin committee. Barry is also a practitioner. He and I both hold Dmin degrees. So we've traveled the road that you all are traveling. Now, I did not do my Dmin at MTS, which of course I think is a good thing. The reason I think it's a good thing is because I've been exposed to how the Dmin is conducted in other places. We've looked at other programs around the country. We've adopted best practices. We've looked at our delivery system in terms of what's going to be the best fit for our particular students. And we are convinced that we've designed a Dmin program that is second to none in the country. At the end of the day, my real commitment is to walk with you from the beginning of your program until you get one of these, which is a bound copy of your work. That's our commitment, to walk with you every step of the way, to move you from initial ideas and thoughts to when you finally walk across the stage and you get one of these nice black books with your name on it in the mail. So you will be able to say to all of your friends, your parishioners, your colleagues, I is a doctor. So that is our commitment to you. I think another area where you see our commitment to your success is some of the changes that we've made in the program. In fact, some of these changes are new, but we're excited about it because we're getting tremendous feedback. One of the challenges that we discovered that our students experience is that they're clear, they enjoy the classes, they're clear on what they want to do, they're focused on it, but at some point in the program, the light bulb sort of goes off. This is a degree program, this is a doctoral program. I've got to get it out of my head and on paper. That's where the challenges start to set in. Well, we've addressed that. What will happen here is in the course of your residencies, and of course there are 7 residencies, and we'll talk about that in some greater detail. In residency 1, we will start with an introductory writing workshop that's required, that you will do during your 2-week residency while you're here on campus. We will come back again in residency 3 and require you to do another workshop. But here's the best part about it. This is not just subject-verb agreement, making sure you know how to properly conjugate and all of that kind of good stuff. By the time you make it to residency 3, you've got a pretty good idea of what you want to work on. So when you start workshopping your writing and so forth, guess what you're going to be workshopping? Your project proposal. So by the time you make it to residency 4, we've been intentional in terms of walking with you and developing this, so you don't wake up one day and say, oh my God, I got to be in Memphis in 2 weeks and I don't have a project proposal. We're not going to let it slip up on you again. Our commitment is to walking with you through this program. I think as you look at our tracks, I know all of you will hear from some different tracks, but I think as you look at our tracks, we've got some of the best tracks in the country. We're not trying to do it all. With each track, we've narrowed the focus and we're specifically looking at this area. That is to say, if you're in our preaching track, in every single residency, guess what you're going to be talking about? Preaching. Give that man a gold star. Are you sure you're not already a doctor? In preaching, we're going to be talking about preaching. When we get to leadership, guess what we're going to be talking about? Any guesses right yet?
Probably leadership.
You're a smart guy. Listen, we're going to be talking about leadership. When we get to the track on forming and growing churches, we're going to be talking about forming and growing churches, whether it's planting churches or revitalizing an existing church. That's what we're going to focus on. In our pastoral care, our pastoral therapy and counseling track, that's what we focus on in terms of pastoral therapy and counseling. As Dr. Gackett mentioned before he left, we got another track on land, food, and faith. And of course, our last track, I'm not sure if anyone here is interested in our last track, we've got a Korean Dmin track. Most of the instructors speak Korean and all of the students speak Korean. But you may be daring. So of course, if you're interested in the Korean Dmin track, we will sign you up. We will sign you. However you feel like you're being led by God, we will sign you up. So of course, that's kind of my spiel in sort of a nutshell in terms of what the Dmin looks like at MTS.